Deputy Speaker, and I thank the member for Hasluck for pointing out how important it is to look constituents in the eyes, because that's exactly what the Prime Minister did to the nation 97 times. And we've heard the excuses that tried to walk back that promise, and we haven't heard that promise repeated in this place. But it's important to note that that promise was made 28 times after the invasion of Ukraine. He looked down the cameras at the eyes of millions of Australians and was so desperate to be sitting on those benches, kept repeating that promise, and then now acts like it doesn't exist. So the member for Hasluck will forgive us when we'll take those words and say that they are indeed well chosen and they're ones that the Prime Minister should have adopted. And we are sitting here, and I've said on many occasions, there were lessons to learn for our party. And we have heard from the crossbench, from the other side, and even from our own side, that integrity was up the top of that list. And there's no more important example of integrity than when you give a promise, you keep a promise, that you will be judged by what you do, not what you say. And you will be particularly judged by what you do after you no longer have a reason to hold on to a falsehood. And that's what we are talking about here. And the members opposite, they seem quite perplexed why these motions keep coming before you. You seem quite confused why we're repeating it. And the clue is in the title. The clue is in the title. And if there's a pause in interjections, you might want to listen to this. The government's continuing failure. Continuing. Many treasurers from the Labor Party have sat opposite and quoted in their essays and their papers of John Maynard Keynes. But they're missing this quote that's attributed to him, that when the facts change, I change my mind. We never hear that opposite. And that's why we have here the continuing failure. So if that failure is addressed, these MPIs will stop. They'll stop, I promise. I look you down the aisle and I say, these will stop. They'll stop, because the failure to address the cost of living crisis is a real thing. And don't trust me. Don't trust me. Trust the Eagleman barometer about what Australians think of this place. So when asked about the trust for government by Australians, when asked, and it's a survey from 28 countries, is now distrusted. 45% distrust. No, this was taken afterwards. This was taken on your watch. On your watch. No, this was taken on your watch. November 2022. Pretty sure the election had happened before that. So this is about your watch. And nothing is more important about trust in government and trust in you than the promises made prior to the election. There's a lot of interjections, and I know that side doesn't like being asked questions lately.
Turn down the interjections.
Doesn't like being asked questions. And so when we see things like this, that the percent of Australians who think we are more divided today than in the past, our country is more divided today, that's 45%. 45%. Again, in November 2022, on your watch. The percent who say in Australia that the lack of civility and mutual respect is worse than they've ever seen. And this is a good time for more interjections, please. 61%. 61%. It's never been worse. When they say that the social fabric that once held this country together has grown too weak to serve as a foundation for unity and common purpose, 54%. So Australians are sick of the ideology across. Because let's be honest, no one in this place is earning a salary that means when you open an electricity bill, when you open a utilities bill, when you are standing in the queue at Coles or Woolworths or the IGA, that you have to think twice, that you have to put things back on the shelves, because none of us earn a salary that makes us make those questions. But most Australians do. And they're not just making those sort of sacrifices, they're lining up in food banks across the country. And in my electorate there are 6 of them, and I've visited them. And the queues are longer than they've ever been. And they're mostly full of women who are in broken relationships and have children sitting in the back seat. So we'll jest. But this is a serious matter, and we hope that there's some action from those opposite.